Bugs. One of the inevitable aspects of video games. No matter how polished, high quality and well thought out a game might be, there will always be bugs. It is just in the nature of programming. Sometimes things just don't work how they should, or worse, they work how they shouldn't. Things break all the time, and especially when talking about large AAA works, it is impossible to not have one slip through the final release of a game. And to be fair, as long as a bug doesn't break anything important, for the sake of keeping a developer's sanity and not breaking something else in the process, it is probably best to leave them alone sometimes. However, bugs are not always harmless. Sometimes bugs can entirely break a game. Or even worse, they can somehow break your game system too. Pandora's Tower is an RPG released initially in Japan in 2011 for the Wii. The game follows the protagonist trying to find a way to free his lover Elena of a curse that turns her into a monster. The game's levels are 13 different towers, and the player must solve puzzles, defeat enemies, and take part in platforming to progress through them to reach multiple endings that depend on their bond with Elena. After being released in Japan, it took 1 year for the game to be released in Europe, and 2 for it to be released in the US. While the game worked just fine in the Japanese and European releases, the North American version was blessed with a fantastic bonus, a console-crashing bug. In the North American version, for some reason, after progressing through the whole game, ready to witness its conclusion, players would be disappointed to learn that loading the 11th, Dawn, and the 12th, Dusk Towers would completely freeze the Wii, causing a black screen forcing players to cut the console's power to reset it. Of course, people eventually found workarounds to beat the game. But still, it is a little ridiculous that not only the bug crashes the Wii entirely, it is somehow exclusive to the North American release of it. But hey, at least Bungie's Myth-2 Soulblighter never discriminated anyone. It would ruin your system regardless of where you were from. This real-time tactics game has indubitably earned its spot as a classic among the strategy games. But it came out with one fatal flaw that could literally ruin your PC. With a relatively small development time, Bungie ran into a few problems with the game while close to its scheduled release date, with some levels code still being written past the initial deadline. Eventually, the studio set the game's deadline about a month after the initially proposed release date. And for the most part, they managed to release the game successfully. However, the day that the game was finally shipped to the stores, the game's Japanese publisher contacted Bungie to inform that a translation worker ran into a major bug on the Windows release. If the user did install the game on the default directory and instead installed it in the root level of their hard drive, when uninstalling the game, the uninstaller would completely wipe the hard drive. Bungie decided to recall all the game's copies and replace the old discs with new ones with the bug fixed. This, however, was a costly decision, as it cost them $800,000 in expenses and fines from retailers for not meeting the shipping deadlines. This made it so even though this was at the time Bungie's best-selling game, the studio barely made any profits from it. A series that has always been profitable, however, is Soul Calibur. It is popular and extremely influential in the fighting game genre, with Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast being considered by many fighting game fans to be the first time that the home port of a fighting game was better than the arcade version, the beginning of the end of the arcade era. And Soul Calibur 2 and 3 are also fan favorites that are often mentioned in discussions about the best fighting games of all time. While Soul Calibur III is a great fighting game that deserves the praise that it gains by the fighting game fans, it had one fatal problem. Your save could get corrupted by playing the Chronicle of Swords game mode, which you most likely would play to unlock new customization items, and allegedly that could sometimes even ruin your memory card by creating a block of corrupted data. How? Because if you created a save of the game mode on a memory card that already had other saves on it, then you somehow alter the existing saves of your non-Soul Calibur 3 games, either by deleting or copying them, the game would create a secret dummy file that couldn't be deleted. To be safe, to prevent the loss of countless hours of grinding the Chronicle of Souls mode, and the potential of breaking your memory card too, the solution was to have a formatted memory card entirely dedicated to Soul Calibur 3. It is ridiculous that a bug forces the player to buy a new memory card just to save one game. But still in the fighting game genre, the Fist of the North Star game made by Arc System Works somehow beats this. Now, this game is infamous for its wacky and imbalanced gameplay. A lot of it comes down to the way that the game tries to prevent infinite combos. Each hit that a character takes adds weight to them, making them juggle lower and lower. This is pretty much the same system that is in place in Guilty Gear. However, the developers messed up this time and never put a cap on this weight value. So, eventually it overflows, and instead of reducing the juggle to prevent infinites, the game starts increasing them, allowing for ridiculous infinites with characters bouncing up and down, often referred as basketball combos. While this bug is definitely a game-breaking one, it isn't even the one that warrants this game's mention in this video. If you watch tournaments of this game, you will notice that Rei is a commonly picked character. And it's not just because of his popularity as one of Kenshiro's most trusted allies. Rei has a unique bug to him that allows him to get an infinite uppercut that just keeps going up and up and up and doesn't stop even after he and the opponent are already far off screen. This makes Rei by far the most dangerous character in the cast, as if he catches you, he can just win the round immediately, or rather by giving you a slow and inevitable end. This animation can go on for so long that the arcade versions can soft lock and require a reset. It somehow gets even worse. This can overclock the machine's board, possibly causing it to eventually overheat and burst into flames. Which means that there is a possibility that a Fist of the North Star arcade cabinet could cause a fire, making it one of the most dangerous bugs to ever exist in video games.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.